The palace of ancient thrones, where secrets walk softly and destinies breathe like fire beneath fragile clay. There are moments that grip the entire kingdom by the throat. Moments when the wind refuses to blow. When even the birds on Okeatsa pause their wings because something deeper, darker, older is rising. My people, tonight's story is not for the faint-hearted. Oh. Yes, it is a tale where shame meets shock, where pride collides with cosmic law, where a woman's desperation opens a door no one in Ileife ever expected. Because when the great lion extended Ebony's ban from the royal chamber, a ban that had already eaten her joy for 3 long months, the palace expected, something like anger, maybe tears, maybe protest, even arrogance. But what they got instead was a confession so terrifying that elders froze, servants stepped back, and the great lion himself, custodian of tradition, tightened his wrapper with unease. Now, let me tell you what is happening here. You know, before now, I think Yossi Sele did that story as well. Ebony was placed on 3 months ban from entering the chamber, from entering the chamber of the Great Lion. So after all this drama of running out of Onifarapa, Okan, after everything, running to our family, and just causing confusion everywhere. And a Great Lion realizing that he cannot wield the two ashe or whatever. So there's something he did immediately. He now extended the 3 month span by, according to what they said, by another 3 months. And when this was done, according to what the palace whispers are saying, when it was done, they expected her to show her arrogant self, they expected her to be crying, to be wailing and everything. But instead, they said what they got was something else that shook the entire fabric of the palace. As the Yoruba say, before a matter destroys one person, it has destroyed others for generations, right? What happened inside that council chamber has now become the most whispered story in the palace corridors. And palace insiders insist this is only the beginning. When desperation cornered Ebony, something else spoke through her, and the palace is still shaking. My people, welcome to another epic story. Yes, another epic story. According to the palace insider whispers, trouble began shortly after Ebony's dramatic escape from the Onifarapa Okeant custodian, a move that embarrassed not only the palace but the very spiritual institution trusted to cleanse her mind and stabilize her behavior. The great lion had tolerated enough. He had endured her outbursts, her disrespect, her sudden vanishing acts, her quarrels with other palace wives, and her restless desire to control narratives in a kingdom built on discipline and cosmic order. And so, after much deliberation, the great lion took a decision. Yes, this is the part I know you have been waiting to hear, right? He took a decision, a big one for that matter. A decision expected, a decision feared, a decision that broke Ebony down in ways no one has ever seen her. He extended her chamber ban to an additional 3 months, like I said in the intro. A ban that meant Ebony would continue watching other Oloris enter the king's chamber, continue hearing their laughter, continue receiving news that some were being spiritually prepared for conception, while she, Ebony, the one who fought harder than most, remained locked out. You know what banning you from the chambers is now. No, that's not going to happen now. No conjugal bliss, and just knowing that, this thing is structured in a way that everybody getting torn, right? For the past 3 months, according to the story, the said she has been on that ban. So you can imagine no conjugal bliss for the past 3 months, and you are now being slammed with another 3 months. Almost now, while I do happen for Ebony, so, and I don't know. The thing is, this is really something that is breaking her down according to what they're saying. Okay? So for her to be locked out for under 3 months, that's a big thing. So for a woman like Ebony, whose pride was carved, from fire, the pain was unbearable, according to the palace whispers. Staff members whispered in corners. Some rejoiced quietly, yes, over what the additional ban. Some said, at last, peace will breathe small, Abi. Hey. Others murmur that Her I too know attitude had finally met a rock stronger than her will. Because that woman, may I not lie you, I know too much. The thing is even irritating. Waiting. But Palace Insider whispers say Ebony did not take it lightly. Of course. No, not this time. The moment the great lion announced the extension, Ebony fell flat on her stomach in front of the elders. She rolled on the floor, crying, shaking, trembling, and screaming at the same time. Forgive me, my lord, she wailed. Forgive me. I am controlled by a marine spirit that wants to destroy me and destroy the kingdom. Almost, we don't talk on before now. Because this whole thing, how do you explain it? A lot of things she does don't even add up. Her own too much. So look at this coming from her own mouth. If this thing we are hearing from the palace whispers is actually true, then we are in for some monumental trouble ahead. But I can't understand. So the entire council was frozen at this point. Even the great lion, seasoned in both physical and spiritual matters, leaned forward in shock. One of the elders whispered, "Say it again. We must hear it clearly." Because she has to repeat it to let it not be that there's one thing that is going on. So they said Ebony repeated the same thing word for word. I am controlled by a marine spirit. I want to ruin my destiny, that it wants to ruin my destiny and bring shame to the palace. We talked on before now. We have always said this. A lot of us have insinuated this long ago. A cold wind passed through the chamber. Even the lantern flames were bent. You could hear a pin drop. Yes, because this one has shock. Because confessions like this, confessions made inside the royal council chamber, confessions made in presence of the custodian of Orumila throne, they are not ordinary. Yes, at once the great lion sent a messenger to summon one of the palace priests, a spiritual authority known for handling cases where human mind and cosmic realms overlap. Someone who does not speak unless the heavens have spoken. The elders sat in stunned silence. They have to. Ebony lay on the floor sobbing uncontrollably. The great lion looked exhausted, the kind of exhaustion that comes when a man's kindness is slowly turning to his disaster. Some of the elders whispered among themselves, "Did we not warn him? How can a king marry someone who abandoned him for another man? Someone, who betted a child outside and returned casually like nothing happened. This is not ordinary again," they claim. But others said, "The king has a kind heart. No one can blame him for trying to give us stability and dignity." But for this one, no, me, I go blame him. I not lie. I will blame him on this. I know he's a good man, okay? But on this, me, I go blame him. If all the palace insider whispers are anything true. Palace insiders claim the great lion regretted deeply, not because Ebony offended tradition, but because he remembered how much he had tried to protect her. He remembered how he listened to pleas from the Sultan of Sokoto. He remembered how Ebony's family begged, how elders interceded, how they assured him she would adjust and repent. Tonight, as she cried out, on the floor, her confession ringing in the air, the great lion looked like the man finally understanding the weight of those warnings. Because as the Yoruba say, the person we try to protect from death may walk straight into where death is served. And is that not what is happening? Meanwhile, the palace priest finally arrived, short, calm, carrying a small white cloth and a strange silence. He looked at Ebony, he looked at the great lion, then at the elders, and he said, "I must hear everything before I speak." At this time, it was reported that the room stiffened. Ebony was lifted to her feet, her face swollen, her voice cracked, but her confession remained clear, too clear to ignore. The priest placed his palm on the table and closed his eyes. The elders leaned forward. The great lion signed heavily. The palace waited. And then the priest opened his eyes slowly. And the screen of destiny paused there, right there. Because palace insiders say, What he said next changed everything. What he revealed sent shock waves through the palace. And the council's reaction is what the next episode is going to uncover. So do well, my people, to watch out for the next episode. And let me try to round up by saying this as we close this very narration. Let me say this: in the palace of kings, the true battle is never between men. It is between destiny and the choices that bent it. Ebony's confession may be the first crack in the prophecy still unfolding. The great lion's dilemma has only deepened, and the kingdom now waits with trembling breath for the priest's verdict. As the elders say, we look at the farm, but the thunder we hear is coming from the hill. The storm has only just begun, my people. Okay? The storm has only just begun. Don't forget, like we always say, he who ignores wise counsel may walk into battles built for 1,000 warriors. I'm sure you got the drift right there, right? Okay, so let me finally end today's narration by saying this, as I always say. This narration, just like most of our narrations, are based on palace insider whispers, cultural interpretations, and social media conversations. It is not presented as fact. All characters remain respected public figures. Thank you, and God bless you.